When God created devil. A book about a man who plays God and creates the devil. Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's masterpiece. In this absolute classical beauty of a book comes the creation of the most famous monster of all time, save perhaps Dracula himself, and possibly the creature subject to most stereotyping. So let us take a trip down memory lane to the 1800s, where we find the true Frankenstein and find the meaning of good, evil, and shades of grey. And to brave the Frankenstein, we have a young soul, Ria. Hi, the fearless Ria.
Hey, I'm Ria. I'm in the ninth grade, and there is nothing that calms me more than reading. I have my own blog. I love fiction and fantasy. Harry Potter is an all time favorite. I've recently even undertaken the task of reading scientific books, particularly those written by Stephen Hawking.
So, Ria, you've read the book. What is the general feeling which gets stirred up in you when you remember the book?
Frankenstein was an interesting experience for me. It hooked me on to reading again after taking a long break from it. It isn't exactly the kind of book I would read, which is why I was a bit apprehensive about reading it at first. However, it had me engrossed since the very first chapter. In fact, it wouldn't be much of an exaggeration to say that the book gained pace in those chapters itself. While reading, I was intrigued by Mary Shelby's somewhat eerie and dark style of writing. I was particularly interested in the elements of science, and it brought me great pleasure and satisfaction to see how wonderfully those elements had been intertwined with the fictitious storyline. All in all, it was an emotional roller coaster for me.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. What is your take on the psyche of both the main characters? Do you think that they are both protagonist and antagonist?
Personally, I felt that both the characters represented one another. They were just of different kinds. I believe the monster gave shape to the dark side of Victor Frankenstein, the side that was particularly twisted and obsessive. I believe the monster even emphasizes on Frankenstein's misery, such as the death of his mother. So, yes, I do believe they are both the protagonist and the antagonist of the story.
I guess so. This book brought about a conflict of emotions within me. I felt angry, happy, pensive. There was like a lot of turmoil. But what about you? Did you have moments in the book which made your emotions burst out?
As I said before, Frankenstein was an emotional roller coaster for me. I was filled with rage, joy, frustration, and curiosity all at once. When I finished the book, I was still left with many unanswered questions that were up to my imagination to answer. In complete honesty, I was left a little dissatisfied with the conclusion. I felt that there was so much more that needed to be done, but perhaps that is just my need for a happy ending.
All right, coming to the characters. Out of all the characters, who did you feel had the saddest fate and why?
I felt that the saddest fate was that of the monster. He was born in a world where there existed none like him, and his creator was willing to disown him. He had to fight for food and shelter and navigate his way through the conventions of the human world all by himself. Till the very end, he begged for someone to be created who could love and care for him. Thus, I felt that his fate was the saddest since he was misunderstood, misjudged, disregarded, and even abandoned.
Did during the story feel that Frankenstein's monster ever feels remorse for his actions? Or for that matter, even Frankenstein?
I don't think the monster ever felt remorse, for he could never understand his mistakes. In his view, he himself was the one who was being exploited and mistreated. As for Frankenstein, yes, I do believe he felt remorse for bringing such an evil creature, or so he believed, in this world. On some occasions, he even felt guilt for hurting the monster so deeply by creating him due to his own need to fulfill his obsession, only to desert the monster.
I think that the concept of the book is a cautionary tale about man playing God. Do you think that maybe that's not the message? Is it perhaps about the dangers of throwing caution to the winds or something else?
Personally, I feel the book is about what trauma and obsessions can do to a person. I even think it is about how you project or tend to replicate how you feel in unhealthy ways if not given the chance to express yourself. In this case, Frankenstein created a monster who was a symbol for his own dejection and isolation.
And thus he says, I thank you, he replied, for your sympathy, but it is useless. My fate is nearly fulfilled. I wait but for one event, and then I shall repose in peace. That's how Frankenstein's monster talks. You know, we at Bookbibuli have been trying to bring you different books of, different genres, having different emotions, having different ideas and ideologies. I hope we have been successful as that.
Oh, I think that Bookbibuli is a great place for readers like me to talk about their favorite books and fictional controversies and even conspiracies. Personally, I love to listen to others' interpretations of literary works. As a writer, too, it really opens my eyes to new crazy perspectives, and I feel that anything which can bring the reading community together is a win.
Thank you very much for your insights, Ria. Many people who've never read Frankenstein know of Victor Frankenstein's creature as one of the most famous monsters in literary history. What makes Mary Shelley's novel such an impressive accomplishment is her ability to portray the monster as multidimensional and complex. The monster is responsible for many violent actions throughout the novel. He is also legitimately frightening and grotesque because of his enormous size and composition from parts taken from corpses. At the same time, the monster encounters persistent rejection and loneliness. He struggles to find a sense of family and community, and is rejected by everyone he comes in contact with. The novel's ending suggests that lack of human companionship and sympathy might turn even the most humane being into something monstrous, and that's a thought to hold on to. In Frankenstein, the reckless pursuit of scientific discovery leads to chaos, tragedy, and despair. Advances in our understanding of the laws of science led to many positive changes. However, the progress of science is limitless, can raise fear about how far was too far. Bookbibuli Read Record. The reading competency required for this book is 7. The reader should be able to comprehend the colloquial, beautiful language, high on emotion, momentum, literary quotient. You should take time to savor this book. Ideal time for reading this book is about 1 week. It can be read with breaks. In fact, I would encourage you to do so. The genre is classic, horror, and science fiction. It will be a natural extension to a reading trajectory which already has Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the picture of Dorian Gray, and the metamorphosis. The language is different from the present day. Perfectly written, suspenseful, thought-provoking, excellent discussion, ethical question on science and man playing God. Once you've read this, your next stop would be Dracula by Bram Stoker. All the best and happy reading.